Today I'm going to talk about eye gaze optimization when you're recording an instructional video. Doing this correctly can make a big difference to the quality of your video and greatly enhance the learning experience. Eye contact is very important in teaching and learning. Here's just a few of the reasons why. To project authority and credibility, to establish trust, and to help maintain and direct the learner's attention. This is true for classroom teaching and learning, and perhaps even more so for online. So if we want to incorporate eye contact into instructional videos, we use picture-in-picture, also known as PIP video, alongside content such as slides. Here we can see a slide without the PIP video, and here we see it with the PIP video added in. Let's think about where you look when you're recording an instructional video. Do you look at the webcam, the slides on the screen, the notes on the screen, the auto cue device, your writing tablet, other input devices, notes on the desk, off into the distance, or all of the above? Do you have a strategy for this, or is it left to chance? To help you decide where to look and when, think about these three key eye gaze directions: direct gaze, guided gaze, and averted gaze. The first one that is commonly used is direct gaze, which you can think of as newsreader mode. If you use this, the learner will tend to look directly at your face. This is great for simple slides without too much content, where you know what you're going to say without needing notes. Bear in mind, if you have too much of this, you risk distracting the learner from the content. Guided gaze is where you look towards your own slides. This prompts the learner to also look at the content and avoids them locking onto your eyes instead of the content. But remember, you really don't have to have a PIP on every slide. It's good to give the learner a break. Now, looking at averted gaze. In this case, my presentation notes were flat on my desk, so I was looking down. This downward gaze is disengaging, and it doesn't give the learner an appropriate cue for where to look. So the simple rule is, avoid the averted gaze. Here's another example of averted gaze. Here I'm looking away from the content on the screen. This is not a good cue for the learner. This can happen if your notes are set up in the wrong place, or if you don't have notes and you're recalling or thinking. In the case above, we can fix this easily with a 180 degrees horizontal flip. But it's not always that easy, and in this case the logo on the hoodie will be mirror image too. So how do we make sure to have guided gaze for the more complex slides? It's down to good planning and good setup. To put it simply, if I want to look to my right on the video, then I must look to my right when I'm recording. So if I set up my notes on the right, then my eye gaze will naturally go to the right. So here we can see the notes are offset from the webcam. We aim to keep the notes as near as possible to the same vertical level as the webcam. This means that once you're looking at your notes, you're looking to the right and you're recording a guided gaze PIP by default. Even a simple one-screen solution can work well. So paper notes taped off to the side gives the same effect. Tape your notes to the left or right depending on the eye gaze direction you need in your video. But if we don't get it right during recording, the next best option is to fix it in post-production. We can use AI tools, for example Veed.io, to correct eye gaze direction. This works surprisingly well as long as you don't look down too much or keep changing your gaze in all directions. There is a risk of introducing so-called uncanny valley effects. This is where an entity appears almost human, but something is not quite right, and it can feel strange to the viewer. Let's have a look at an example of this based on Veed.io. This is a brief clip showing various eye gaze directions and what it looks like after using Veed.io to correct it. Just to be clear, the one on the right is the uncanny one, and the one on the left is the original video. You might want to look at this clip a couple of times to see the difference between the original video and the video with gaze correction at different points in the timeline. As I mentioned, it works well where there is a reasonable amount of correction to do, but it struggles where the correction required is more extreme. So I would advise you to use it with caution to avoid the uncanny valley effect. So here are the key takeaways. Use a mix of guided gaze and direct gaze. Avoid the averted gaze. Set up your notes on the same level as your webcam. Even a low-tech solution can work well for this. If you need to, use the 180 degrees horizontal flip to correct the eye gaze direction. And don't forget, beware the uncanny valley effects. So I hope this was helpful, and I would be delighted to continue the discussion with you. Please get in touch with any feedback or comments.